So we're out here tonight at Calabasas High School with SoCal Business and Basketball Report. This is Ray Dietz, and we're checking in the Southern Section playoffs in the Open Division. And tonight we had Etiwanda taking on Ziaire Canyon, and what was anticipated was one of the better games, and it was a battle most of the way tonight. Ziaire Canyon tested throughout the season this year. They earlier this year they beat Etiwanda 57-53. They had a close game against St. Vincent St. Mary of Ohio. That was Ziaire Canyon that won that 59-56. They beat Duncanville, Texas in a tight game, 66-63. So they've had some tight games, and I think it paid off tonight. So this winner of this game, and Ziaire Canyon did win the game in the end. We'll get to that in a minute. Well, most likely, I'm guessing Mater Dei is going to win. And so the finals in the Southern Section will be next week at Long Beach State at the Pyramid. Next week, we're also going to go over the all-star teams this year in Southern California, the first team, the second team, and then the all-go-to-war team, guys that play with fire. We've spoken about the area here, Calabasas, in previous editions. This is the area along the 101 freeway where Kobe Bryant's helicopter went down. And if you go a little further north up the 101, we were at Camarillo High School a year ago. There's a lot of fog up in that area in the mornings. And Camarillo High School was where Jaime Jaquez, the freshman at UCLA, stayed there all 4 years at that high school. And we were out at Etiwanda in the last couple of years as well, as they've continued to place themselves in that open division. And this year they brought on Jaylen Clark, who's a UCLA commit. Jaylen played with Etiwanda this year for his senior year. And Dave Kleckner, a very intense coach there at Etiwanda, doesn't coach them in the summer, but really is all over the guys during the season. And there's a lot of intensity, defensive pressure. And if you can't take yelling, you're not going to fit in at Etiwanda. And on the other sideline tonight, Andre Chevalier, really an underrated coach. He's done a great job. A couple years ago, a couple of really miraculous wins they had against Bishop Montgomery. And in fact, Ziaire last year played against Jaylen Clark when he was at Corona Centennial right here at Calabasas. And Jaylen did not play that well last year. Tonight he showed up, and he actually had 32 points tonight and led everybody. But Andre Chevalier, he's very good with the X's and O's. He picks the right times usually to add pressure. And another thing he does, it seems, no one's told me this, but it seems like they like to emphasize a different guy each game and try to get some points for different players depending on the game. I think that does two things. Number one, it makes it hard for future opponents to scout you, because who do you plan for? They're so long and they have so many players. And the other thing is it helps massage the egos, because they have a lot of very highly rated players that have really come from all over the country. So he's handling things very well. And as I said, they did prevail tonight. Next year, when you look at Ziaire Canyon, I think Bronny's going to take it to another level. And I'm looking at Shai Odom as a guy that's really primed to emerge next year as well, as he's only a sophomore this year. Bronny's a freshman. Harold Yu, the 7-footer, will be a senior next year, so they're in good position for next year. And the question is that point guard position next year again. Etiwanda got out to a good start tonight, and then Ziaire battled back. At the end of one quarter, it was 22-20, Ziaire Canyon. At halftime, Etiwanda was up 34-31. In the third quarter, it was actually a fight in the stands that stalled the game, and a couple of guys were throwing down, and they had to kind of clear a hole and tackle these guys and get them out. Really cleared out a whole section of the stands there for a while. And then we got back to play. And like I said, Jaylen Clark, just with his will, his strength, he kept going to the bucket and getting and ones. They went through a dry spell in the third quarter. Tyree Campbell missed some shots that he might normally hit. He missed several shots, and so they found themselves down 10. And then Bronny hit a big three. Actually, it was a big play, because this is a tough game for a freshman to play in, but Bronny hit a very big three. It was about 5 minutes to go in the game, and Sierra Canyon ended up winning the game 73-62. So they'll move on and play in the Open Final next week. And as I say, next week we're going to have our first team All-Star team, our second team All-Star team, and then our All-Go-to-War team, so you won't want to miss next week. Leading scorers tonight for Sierra Canyon, it was Ziaire Williams with 23 and Jaylen Clark with 32. It was a sold-out game here in Calabasas. People sitting in the stairwells, and it was jam-packed. It was a great atmosphere. And through the first half, great game. Sierra didn't shoot it that great in the first half, but in the second half, it was more skill that emerged. The paint area was clogged on both ends of the floor tonight, and the skill that Sierra Canyon has really emerged in the end. Brandon Boston had some good buckets, and Ziaire had a nice dunk in the second half, led them in scoring, and then also Amari Bailey was going to the basket awfully hard, tip dunk, tip in rebounds, and that type of thing. So there you have it. It's Sierra Canyon 73 at Awanda 62. We'll look for next week will be our last week, so we're going to go over those all-star teams. Look forward to seeing you next week, and have a great weekend.